Hi, guys, and welcome back to this week's BFT series on the couch. If you're new here, I'm Amber, a Black female therapist, where we promote mental health and wellness and all that good stuff in between. We also promote Black therapists, so if you are in need, please go check out the directory. So, on this week's episode, we're talking about being single or lonely for the holidays. So if this is your first holiday, especially with the pandemic, and you're going to be at home by yourself, or you're single for the first time during this time, it may be difficult for you to adjust to not having anyone around or not going out to parties or doing the things that you were doing before. So we're going to talk about it in this episode, and I have two awesome therapists with me. We're going to dive into kind of why we think that it's a negative thing that we're single during the holidays, or what's the difference between being alone and being lonely. So I think you're gonna love it. So let's jump right into it. I'm gonna introduce the therapist to you, and please let us know if you have any questions. Pop your questions in the chat section. We're gonna try to answer as many as possible. If you have any topics or good ideas for the next session, please let us know. We are always open to any ideas or suggestions. So let's hop into it, having our discussion about being single and or lonely during the holidays. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I think this is a huge topic that a lot of people deal with, especially during the holidays, being single or being lonely during the holidays. So I think it's super important that we discuss this and kind of start normalizing that you can be single during the holidays. But anyway, we'll get into it. So before we start, I want you guys to introduce yourselves, to let the audience know who you are, where you're located, what you do, and then how they can find you guys. Kimberly, I will start with you.
So again, I'm Kimberly Parker, and I'm the founder of Shine Counseling. Shine stands for strengthening, helping, inspiring, nurturing, and empowering others to be successful as they define it or as they want to be. So I'm the founder of this small group practice, and we have therapists all, with the same mission, working to empower, nurture, and inspire others. We can be contacted via our website, www.shinecounseling.org, or by phone call 704-734-9480.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here. My name is Dr. Samara Toussaint, and I'm the owner and founder of Path to Growth Counseling Services. I'm a licensed psychologist in New York, more specifically the Long Island, Queens area. And I'm also a full-time school psychologist working at a special needs elementary school. So you can also find me on my website at www.pathtogrowthcounseling.com. And my Instagram is @growthwithdrtoussaint.
Well, thank you guys again for joining me. I think that this is going to be an awesome conversation. So let's get into it. It has a trend of if someone is single during the holidays, especially now during this time of COVID, right? And everybody is kind of quarantining and things like that. Being single during the holidays is a bad thing. Let's get into that. Like, why? Why is it a bad thing that you're single during the holidays?
It could be a number of reasons. Not having a partner, or not having the financial means to participate in some of the outings or to exchange the gifts, health limitations. Those are a number of reasons, I think, that can cause people to feel lonely or to feel alone during the holidays.
And I actually say this often, comparison is a thief of joy. And what happens is when people log onto social media, they'll oftentimes see, what do you see when you log onto Instagram? You automatically see baby announcements, you see engagements, and you see weddings, people planning their weddings, and you're just like, wait, what about me? Like, I want to be part of this too. So I think social media plays such a huge role, and people are on it for a majority of the time. Like, they're scrolling and they're seeing all these things and they're saying, wow, I wish I could be like that. But what we need to understand is what you see on social media is really just a picture, it's a snapshot. It may not be the true reality. And I think people just get caught up in that, oh, I want this right now. They look so happy. And we're talking about depression, and that could definitely lead to depression.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I think also another thing too is that society media marketing is shows family. You watching movies or buy this car and it's with a husband and wife, or two partners, or a family and their children are out Christmas shopping or buying Christmas gifts or putting up a Christmas tree, right? And making it be the thing, because clearly the whole reason that we spend all this money on gifts is this marketing, right? And this is what society wants us to do. So they kind of shape that up to make you feel as though I'm missing out if I don't have what is being depicted, in the media, in the news.
Right.
And then, like you say, social media just piggybacks on it and makes it even worse, because you're like, I actually know this person.
Right, exactly. Because you'll see these commercials. You see Kate Jewelers is out and you have all the family, like the car commercials are serious about family. Like they'll often advertise a car with a family, husband, wife, and kids. And then you have to go and log on social media and get it there too. So all these messages, like you'll never really see a car commercial with a single person like, yeah, I'm having the time of my life. I'm single out here. Like that doesn't happen. It's so unfortunate. It really is. I wish we could definitely do something about that.
Absolutely. Now, have you guys have any of your clients come in talking about that? Like you've had like a numerous during this time, like, oh yeah, I see that a lot during this time. And also let's hop into being alone or lonely. Let's be alone. Talking about the difference between being alone and lonely, because that's also another thing, right, that people are going through.
Something that I'm seeing more often than people being single is like they're in relationships, but they're unfulfilled. And I think it's a tricky situation when you're in a relationship and you're so unhappy that you end up feeling alone. And that is definitely something that's harder to treat, because here you are feeling guilty, like, well, how can I be so unhappy when I have kids and I have a husband or I have a wife? Like, why do I feel so alone? So I think that that's some of the things that I've been working on with people, is just how to empower them. Like, what is holding you back from really being happy and fulfilled in your relationship? And why do you feel so alone, even when you're surrounded by family and loved ones?
That's really good. I mean, I completely forgot about that, because it's the idea that we have in our head, right? That when we see these commercials or we see the people on social media, that if we were to have a partner, we would be happy. Well, that doesn't equal happiness. A relationship doesn't mean you're successful, and single doesn't mean that you lost, or that, it's a negative. It doesn't equal the two. So I think that's a really good point that you made right there, because you totally be with somebody and feel lonely.
I agree with that. Not allowing those thoughts to consume you, just actually keeping it in the right perspective. I see a lot of clients just the same, in relationships, feeling unfulfilled, but at the same time, if we look at it closely, it's because we're romanticizing what we see others have and longing to want that, or we're romanticizing relationships that is really not real. What you see on social media may or may not be real. What you see in the movies may or may not be real. And then also I have a lot of single ladies that I see as well, longing to be in relationships and are forgetting to normalize that single is not a bad thing. And then there's some great benefits to being single. So let's look at that and let's appreciate what we have and enjoy what we have, instead of focusing on those thoughts and those behaviors that's actually feeding into the negative connotations of being single.
Well, what are some ways that you guys are maybe telling your clients, like, how they can combat those thoughts or the things that they're seeing on social media or in the news or in the media period? Like, what are some things some people can do to try to prevent feeling that way? Or if they already are there, how can I get myself out of here?
Another thing that I'm working on, especially with my female clients, is that there's this huge double standard for them. And I try to bring to their awareness that, look, like, if a male is single your age, no one is calling them a lonely spinster. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a part of this that has really nothing to do with you. There's a part of this that is really society telling you that you need to have a child at 35 and by this age and have this house and have this. It really has nothing to do with you. So I would say I'm going to bring to awareness the fact that what about this is reality, and what about this is also society telling you what reality should be like for you. And the next thing I have them do is I have them challenge their thoughts. And one thought is like, okay, I'm gonna die alone, or I'm gonna be alone forever, and I'm gonna live with cats. I'm like, what is the evidence to show that that's the case? You know, have you been in relationships before? Okay. And are you successfully dating now? Okay. Or are you doing this now? So I'm always just like, what's the evidence to show that this is going to happen? This is a fear you might have, but that's not the reality. That's a fear, not something that's known to be true.
So I always ask them to challenge their beliefs. And so if their belief, if I say yes and I go to this social event, I'm going to have a terrible time, then challenge it. Because not going, we know for sure what that outcome is, right? Not going, the outcome is you are by yourself and you aren't, you know, having the experiences that you desire. So challenge it. You go. See if you're going to have a bad time. And oftentimes it's not. And so, so putting things in that perspective, I think really, really helps.
I think something else too, to kind of piggyback off of what both of you ladies said, which is awesome, is that sometimes we also have those family members that also put that on us as well.
All right.
You know, if you are at a family event or maybe you're talking to your mom or whatever, and she's like, so what are you doing? What are we, the clock is ticking, you're 30. Why don't I have any grandkids? Where, you know, what's going on? And then you have that pressure, not only externally, but internally within your family cohort, right? And then you start to maybe question your own self, like, dang, what am I doing? You know, maybe I shouldn't be on this path. But I try to tell my clients, kind of like what you say, you have to challenge that. But I think it also takes time because we're so conditioned, or if you're in that type of family system where you're more conditioned to follow what your family has done, or follow in the footsteps of your mother or your grandmother. And if you go on a different path, then you may be viewed as different, you know, and how to change that. And I think sometimes clients are feeling that it has to happen overnight. But I'm always reminding them, like, one step at a time. If you can just challenge one thought a day, that's success. Okay, so then tomorrow we'll try for 2, you know, and each time we can build onto it, because it's a change. It's something that we're changing. It's going to be something different for you, especially, and this is all you've known, right?
Right. Now I was also going to add to that, Amber, that there's this notion of I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
And that's so problematic. It's just like, I'll be happy when I get this house. I'll be happy when I get these kids. And it's just like, what's stopping you from being happy now? Like, what is getting in the way from you? Why can't you be happy now? Because even if you get those, when you attain those things, it's not a guarantee. Happy is a state of mind. It's not a state of a relationship. It's not a relationship status. It's not, you know, home ownership. It's just a state of mind. So what are you doing to make yourself happy now, being present?
I love that you said that, because it kind of leads into, especially during these winter months, you see more people discussing being depressed, having more feelings of depression or whatever. And these thoughts and these things can lead down that path. And definitely if you don't try to just interject yourself or try to somehow stop it, because it can go down like a downward spiral, especially with COVID and people losing their jobs and things like that. And you can just continue to pile on like how all these things are going wrong in my life. But let's reshift our focus and think about what's going right in our life. What do we have now that we can look at besides thinking of, if I had this, it'll change, or if I had that, it'll change? Because again, there's no guarantee for that. Being single, like you said, being single can actually have its benefits during this time, right? One less Christmas gift you gotta buy. Don't have to entertain anybody's family or make sure that everything is perfect. But like, what are some benefits for people to be single? Before we answer that, can we talk about the difference between being alone and lonely?
One is actually a feeling and the other one is actually a state of being. And so understanding, wait a minute, am I alone? And if I am, and if that's what I believe, then challenging that, okay? And oftentimes I'll ask my clients to consider, what is one act of kindness you received today or this week, or one thing that one person did, act that they did to show you that they care, right? And oftentimes they can name more than one, right? And then who did that? And so you actually have people that care about you. Are you alone? Then it goes from, okay, wait a minute, I'm not alone. I feel lonely. I may feel lonely, but I'm not alone. And then reach out. enjoy those social connections, enjoy spending time and appreciating the people that are in your life, and not allow yourself to succumb to those negative thoughts and feelings of what I don't have. Appreciate what I do have and what I can have.
I think something else too is you can take advantage of this time to join like some social networks that they have going on. Like they have like, if you enjoy wine, they have wine club, virtually, it comes to the house and you guys are tasting the things virtually. You can be creative during this time. Yeah, like you may be in the house physically by yourself, but it doesn't have to mean that you're alone, you're lonely, because you're alone. What are some things that you can be doing to work on yourself? I'm always preaching pouring into your cup. Did you have a long week this week? Was work crazy? Or did you experience some type of whatever? Whatever. It doesn't matter if you just sit at home. Like, you need to pour into your cup and make sure that your self-care is always good. So what's something that you can do? Can you create a routine during this time? Like, maybe you're off for the holidays. What routines are you going to start implementing in December? You don't have to even wait till January. That's something else that I get for people. And I get it. Like, it's a new year, new start. It's cute. I get it. But we don't have to wait till January to do that. Like, we can actually start implementing those things now. We don't have to wait until the new year, new resolution. Listen, okay? Let's do it now.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I always tell people, like, when else are you really alone? Like, from birth, when you're a kid, when you're a teen, you're always with someone. There's always someone around you. Yeah. So why not? And when else are you going to be able to get up and go and do what you want without having to ask for permission? And not even just like on a positive, like, oh, we can travel when we want, we can do what we want. Also use this time to really work on yourself and your goals. Usually you have to check in with someone. You may not be able to do everything you want. Like for the first year and a half of my PhD program, I was single and I was very driven. And there was a lot of things I really couldn't do if I was in a relationship. I had to be selfish with my time, and it was much easier to do so not having someone. I love my husband now, but it would have been a real strain on our relationship in the beginning of my PhD program to really just be in a relationship. So if there's something that you want to do that's going to require a lot of your time, like building your own business, like something that just takes up like it's 24/7 running a business. So if you want to do something like that, do that right now. If you want to travel the country, get up and go. Like not right now, but when maybe 2022 or 2021, late 2021, but just do it. There's something you want to do, just do it. Fall in love with yourself. Like, who are you? I always challenge my clients. I'm like, go on a date with yourself. Go to that restaurant by yourself. Take yourself out to the movies. Like, get to know who you are. A lot of the work that you need to do for your relationship, you should already be doing when you're single. It becomes much easier if you already know how to set boundaries by being single. Then when you go into a relationship, it's much easier for you to do so. Like, once you start loving yourself and falling in love with who you are, it becomes much easier to do it in a relationship.
So enjoy the freedom that being single brings, the freedom to pour into yourself, do what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it. That's fun. And trust me, your married friends or those that are in committed relationship, they wish they had some nights of that freedom. So enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Also, to add to that, like, it's not even about being in a relationship. Let's see if you don't have children and you're a mom. You still have to check in with it. Like, okay, do my children, like, do I need to find a babysitter? Or actually, I can't go. I can't do that because that's the time that I need to be home with my child. Or they have soccer practice, they have basketball or whatever. I can't go. Or I have to go to the doctor. Like you said, that time is not your own now. Now you can no longer be selfish because you have to split that between your child. Because I know that's a big thing for my generation. Like, once you get older, like, I don't have any children yet and I'm getting older. Listen, let's just enjoy this time,
Exactly. And I think a lot of it, we need to normalize it. It's not foreign to not have children. It's not foreign to be single. It's perfectly, you're not the only one. And so, and it's perfectly okay. That's not a negative. It's not a negative reflection on you. And so enjoy it, and know that, you know, you don't have, it doesn't identify you. It doesn't make you any better. It's a relationship is to complement you, not to define you, and not to make you who you are. So, you.
I think I had one of those quotes go out that said, being in a relationship is not a reward and being single is not a punishment. And I had a lot of people to comment on that, and they was like, yes it is, being single is a punishment. And I'm like, wow, you know, but it was just to get them thinking, like, it doesn't mean, if you're in a relationship, it's not like, oh, it's life is awesome now. It doesn't mean that. So I think that this was definitely something good that people need to start talking about. Like you said, normalizing it. And I think the way you normalize, well, I know the way you normalize stuff is to talk about it. When you start having discussions openly about it instead of secretly being, you know, how you feel about it. Because like I said, it can lead to depression. And then we know during these times with the winter months, the season changing, COVID and stuff being in the house, that we see depression rates increase. And so how can you prevent that? And it's all about changing that, doing some work, honestly, is doing the work. So what's one thing that if someone is watching that they can do today, they can start doing today or start doing tomorrow, that can help them start changing their narrative about being single or being home alone during the holidays?
I would say start appreciating what you do have and the benefits of being single. What can you do because you're single? You know, understand what those benefits are, you know, line them out, list them out, and then start appreciating and enjoying it. And know that being loneliness and alone, those are two different things, you know. So challenge yourself when you start thinking that I'm all by myself, or why is this me, or what have you. Challenge those thoughts with facts. And again, understand that you may be alone, but you're not. You may feel a certain way, but that doesn't mean that it's true. Volunteering is a great way to increase some satisfaction and have some gratification with your life. It brings purpose. And so another act, if I can suggest one other thing to do, is find ways to volunteer and give back.
I love that. I always recommend volunteering too, because there's always someone that's in need, and it's always a good feeling to kind of give back. I also like what you said, Amber, challenging yourself every day, like challenging a thought, doing something every day that scares you is something that I try to do. I'm like, how can I step out of my comfort zone more and more every day? And you don't necessarily have to wait till January 1st to write on your goals. You can have monthly goals, you can have weekly goals, you can have even your birthday goals. I always tell my clients too, like, you know, like you can always get prepared for your upcoming birthday and write, like, where do I want to see myself next year? You know, start journaling, really just becoming in tune with yourself. There's always someone to connect to. Like, even if you're not connecting with a partner, is there a family member that really needs your attention right now? Is there a friend that needs your attention right now? Do you need attention right now? There's always something. And it's really just finding how you can make a difference in your life and in someone else's.
I love that you said that too, because, and kind of going back off of what you said a little bit earlier too, is about learning to love yourself. This is a perfect time to know who you are. We spend so much time with other people, we don't ever really have a chance to sit down and know who I am or what I really want, because we let external influence tell us what we want. You do want a house, you do need this car, you do need to be married. Well, do I even really want that? You don't know, you know, because maybe you haven't sat down to take that time to even decide for yourself. So I think it's great. I think that's great what you guys have already said. And then once you identify those goals or different things that you want, you can, like you said, every day start working towards them for something different and challenge yourself. One of our people that's on BFT, she joined one of our chats, and so she was like, I'm so terrified of being on live or whatever, but she challenged herself. And I'm like, look, you got over that fear, and once you keep doing it over and over again, like, it's going to be the norm for you, and you're going to be like, oh, I can't believe I was ever scared of doing that. That's crazy. So like you said, step outside of that boundary and challenge yourself. What's something that you need to do to get towards your goals? I think is super important. I try to do that to myself weekly too.
If you are on a certain path and you see that you're not getting the results that you want, it's not over, right? There's, finding that way, continue to find the path that's going to get you there, because it will. So it's more than one way to achieve your goal. So if you don't get the results you want initially, know that it doesn't mean that you won't get the results that you want.
And I just want to say something that you just piggyback on what you said earlier, Amber, about family. And I think that's huge because their expectations of you are their own. They're not yours.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be something like, if you're single, they're always going to say, when you're getting married, then you get married when you have kids. It's always something. Like, there's always a pattern. Like, I just go to my family's house now and I'm like, whatever you want to say, because there's going to be something. Like, you'll get married, then they'll ask about the kids. They'll ask about this. They'll ask about the house. There's always going to be something. And it's okay to just for you to say, you know what, I'm not feeling that right now. Now I want to work my business. I'm doing something really cool. I'm on Instagram lives. I'm enjoying, like, I'm challenging myself. Like, start to talk about other things. Challenge them. Maybe they don't know what to say to you. Maybe they don't really know what's going on in your life. So the only thing that they have to ask you is, what are you going to be in a relationship? And you can say, no, I'm holding off on that right now. I'm actually working on my business. Would you like to help me? Like, sometimes people just don't know, and you just gotta challenge them right back and be like, and then they'll either be like, ooh, they'll sip their tea and go in the corner, or they'll actually genuinely want to get to know what's going on with your life.
And I think sometimes people just don't know what things that they say or things that they ask you, how it can cause you to feel hurt. And so telling them or asking them why they are asking you that, or telling them that it's making you feel, I don't know, disappointed in yourself because you are not married now, or disappointed in yourself because you and your husband haven't purchased a house or what have you. So why are you asking me this question? And so I think if they know that it's causing you to feel bad, because they are in your life, they care about how you feel. And I think those questions that they ask they won't do it anymore. So if you don't speak up and share how those questions are making you feel, then it's going to continue.
I say that a lot too about, and this is a totally different topic, so I'm not going to go down it, but for when people also ask women, like, why don't you have any kids yet? Why aren't you pregnant? Where are your children? You don't know what they've been through. What if they're having difficulty with infertility, and they just haven't shared that with you? Or what if they've had a miscarriage, or you just never know. And so, like, kind of going back to that, if people don't know, so I think it is like a two-way street. It's also for people to be aware that you never know what people are going through.
Right.
Yes,
but also being able to kind of share that, like, that's a topic I don't want to discuss, so that you can set that boundary with people and say.
Yeah, definitely setting that boundary for sure.
You guys, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, let people know, just remind them about just who you are and where they can find you.
Sure. So I'm Dr. Samara Toussaint, and again, you can find me on Instagram at Growth with Dr. Toussaint, or www.pathtogrowthcounseling.com.
I am Kimberly Parker, licensed clinical social worker, and you can find me at www.shinecounseling.org, or you can also find me on any of the social media platforms, myself along with the other 6 therapists who both share the same vision and the same motto. So it's shinecounseling.org.
And guys, as you know, blackfemaletherapist.com, Black Female Therapist on Instagram. I mean, those are our 2 places. But thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amber.
This was fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Amber.
Absolutely.